Hangout is live on the air. That's my new intro. That's professional, don't you think? I'm just going to read the message that Google gives us.
Hangout is live on the air.
That's hot. That's good. It's trend. It's going to be trending worldwide.
That's hot.
I don't know.
Am I still breathing into the mic like I was?
I don't know. Am I still freezing up because Mediacom is a piece of horse shit organization?
Is that what we're going to do? You going to cut a promo on Mediacom?
There's no promo. They just suck. They're the worst. I mean, I didn't think anybody could make me thankful for Comcast, and they have done it this weekend. So, hat tip to you, Mediacom.
Yeah, both Sean and myself had Mondays from hell, and so neither of us even watched Raw, and we tagged in Handstock and made him deal with everything on the site.
And you bastards are mean to Bill. He gets very upset when you say he's on WWE's payroll, and you just continue to do it. That's mean.
Yeah, and that is what he said.
I mean, he might be on WWE. We're not sure if he is or not, but he doesn't like it, so stop saying it.
Yeah, he's like, I thought it was a good show, but then again, I'm on WWE's payroll, so it's like, well, I guess you are. I want to also say I appreciate the people who reached out and were like, hey, like, you guys are gone. I can't, weird. My morning's not the same without listening to Geno's voice reviewing Raw or something like that. Someone said, that's awful nice of you. That's very sweet, man who said that. So I appreciate that. It's been a rough couple of days. Not going to lie about that. So I don't know. We're going to see what because what do we even talk about? Because I didn't watch Raw. I have zero desire to go back and watch it. I can guess what happened.
That tells you something right there, right?
Kevin Owens probably won a match and then threatened to post a mean comment on Renee Young's Instagram about her dog. That probably happened.
You wrote about that, didn't you?
That was the joke, Sean.
Oh!
Well, we're off to a great start. We are off to a phenomenal start.
Oh, I am not smart, so that's probably what that accounts for that. All right, everybody. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your promo then. Go ahead. Keep going. You can guess that happened. What else could you guess happened? Let's guess what happened on Raw.
Roman Reigns and AJ Styles did some things, and the Usos and the bald guys were also there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nailed it. Whew, yes.
I
really don't. What do we want to talk about? I really don't know.
Well, what kind of stuff you want to talk about? We could talk about last week's Lucha Underground. We could talk about Eric Young on NXT. We could talk about Black Friday. We could talk about Adam Rose apparently being in some sort of death spiral. I mean, I don't even. That's not funny.
What happened to him today? Can you? So let's go with that. I guess the Adam Rose situation because I just saw that he was arrested. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. He got arrested. I was just reading the police report. He got arrested for misdemeanor domestic battery and felony tampering with a witness. So is that? I guess it was with the.
What does that mean? Tampering with a witness.
I mean, I guess he was trying to get his wife to not press charges against him. So that's the tampering with a witness piece. So police report said that they were arguing about their marriage, and Rose allegedly grabbed her by the face and pulled her closer to his face while he was screaming at her. She then called 911. He took the phone away from her. And so he admitted to taking the phone, so that's the tampering charge. So he's still in jail right now. And that's...
he's still in jail.
Apparently. I mean, I don't know when did this happen? I don't know. It's fun. This is not fun news. I don't like to talk about this. Damn you, wrestling world.
It's kind of funny, though, too. Like, you know what, man? It's one of those things. You know, that like people, you know, he's got all this stuff going on. He was suspended and he's trying to clear his name. And then now this comes out about, you know, he's got other stuff going on. And it's a clear indicator or a very good thing to remember that we're all human and everybody makes mistakes and everybody does things that they regret or even to not only that, but to realize that, you know, when you're talking about worshiping these people, you don't really know the people. You don't really know who you're dealing with, you know. Just because you saw a story on ESPN E60, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and so this, I guess it looks like he was arrested at 1:30 in the morning and booked at 3:30. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know anything about it. Just this combined with the suspension, and then I don't know if you saw Jim Ross made some comments about pro tip to people. He said, not only don't talk about your suspension after you got suspended, but if you're going to produce a doctor's note, it should be like not handwritten and like, sketchy where you post it, delete it, and repost it. And so I think, like I say, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looked, the E60 thing, I mean, he was sort of the breakout star of that, working with his, son who was ill and but we don't know anything. Like you said, we don't know. This doesn't sound like he was like kicking his wife's ass, but I don't have a lot of,
yeah, we don't.
I mean, I don't have a lot of patience for anybody. I don't, I've gotten into some arguments with my wife, and they don't involve me grabbing her by the face. So, I don't know. It doesn't paint a very attractive picture of what's going on with his life right now. I don't say that to judge him about it. I don't think, he probably doesn't like where he's at in his life right now either. So, I wish the best for the guy. If you're a praying type, pray for him. If not, whatever. But, it doesn't sound like things are going very well for Mr. Ray Leppin right now. And I assume I've sort of been waiting for a WWE release, so that's what I do for a living.
Yeah, there's I don't know, and like I said, it's just you don't know who these people are, and this doesn't mean we know them either, and that's
exactly
the thing about
we're getting snapshots of their life, which is something that they have to deal with 24/7. We're just looking at little pieces of it and making judgments and cracking jokes, and that's that's fine. It doesn't make us bad people, but we just have to keep it in perspective that that's what we're doing, all of us.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Jesus. Yeah, it's just, everything is sad right now, dude. Like, my world, and then we come here and we're like, what are we going to talk about? I didn't watch Raw. All right, well, let's talk about the first thing, the big news item of the day. So Adam Rose was arrested. He might have beat his wife up. Like,
yeah, fun.
Great.
Yes.
What is that? This is going to be the shortest podcast that's ever happened.
I know. Well, do we have any questions? We never get to people's questions.
We never get to questions. Ask us shit.
Yeah, I talked. You know what? Since we've last talked, I talked to Maria Kanellis. I'm kind of a big deal. Ask me about that.
You were in a dark room, breathing.
I know. Well, I didn't. So here, let me explain that story to everybody. I didn't know. I thought, Maria's. To me, I don't know. Again, I don't have proper perspective on these things. I'm thinking she's like a big star. I know she's not a huge star, but I'm thinking maybe she doesn't want to get like makeup up to talk to me and some dude in England. So I said, we'll do an audio-only interview. And then I get on, and she's sitting there all dolled up, and Keith's there with his smiling face, and I haven't even taken a shower. I'm not in my usual spot. So I'm like, fuck, I don't want to look like the creepy guy who's afraid to show his face. So I turned the cam on. It wasn't my HD cam. There you go. Yeah, it looks like I'm in a fucking hole with a halo on. I don't know. It's horrible, but whatever. She's a nice lady. That's my story.
That's the whole thing.
I know. I mean, I know. I think people got on us. I think for not like, or they got on her for saying that she's like myopic and she's not looking at the big picture. I don't know what you can do. Like if I'm very sort of sympathetic to her, not just because she was nice enough to interview with us, but because you can't control what your coworker situations are. So people were like, well, some people aren't getting paid, so you just keep smiling, Maria, or whatever. What the fuck is she supposed to do? She's just an employee there. She can't go kick the door down and get Bobby Roode his back pay or whatever. So you make the best of the situation. You're a professional. You're trying to sell the product. That's what she's doing. Like I said, there's certain things about TNA when I check it out that I've really liked. There's other things that I think are still laughably bad, but that's also true of WWE. So I give her props for trying to, be proactive about. I don't know how you I still don't know. We talked about it on the interview. I don't know how you counteract TNA's reputation at this point. And what she's trying to do is just be proactive about that and try to get people to talk to her about it or make jokes about it. And that's one way to go about it. So I give her credit for trying that. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I laugh every time she tweets hashtag low morale. So
because she's done the interview and she's, she talked to him and like they kind of made up or did whatever, and then she was still using it. And
she's still using it. At this point, I think it's bigger than Keith now. It started off being directed at Keith. Now it's just like a thing she's trying to get over. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to work. I think
they've all kind of talked about it too, though. I mean, it's a constant source of, I mean, and in some ways, it's like if you work for a company where it's like, people aren't getting paid when they're supposed to be getting paid, or there's all this uncertainty, or, they need a cash influx, or they, of course morale would be low. Like, if it was, if we were doing our thing and our checks, we might not be able to depend on our checks coming in when they come in every month. Our morale would be crap.
I mean, we were pissed that one time when they didn't factor in the holiday, so we didn't get paid till Monday or whatever that was, like Labor Day last year or something. We were furious. We were like, fuck that. I'm not going to Slack today. Fuck you. Yeah, so I can't imagine what it would be like if you worked for 2 months and didn't get paid. So, yeah.
And then there's those stories of, the Bobby Roode and Eric Young are owed all this back pay. And, you don't have that problem with WWE, so you don't hear those kind of stories from WWE. And, but it's just another one of those things. And part of it, too, is like, they're taking stuff a little too far and a little too seriously as far as, they get so mad at the internet, quote unquote, for talking about things and you don't really know. And it's like, okay, well, you don't really know. You know what I mean? Like, no one really knows fully the situation. It's just you react to what you're presented. And some people certainly take that too far, and they take it out on TNA, and they say all these negative things about the wrestlers, or, and I get how that could be frustrating. We're in kind of a similar position. People talk shit about us. People don't like us. People say things about us that aren't true at all. And
we bitch about it. We bitch about it on here.
And we bitch about it. So, I mean, I guess it's just a circle that never ends. This is just what we're all destined to do forever. Complain about complaining, and then complain about the complaining. And who made the complaint, and whether or not they can make that complaint.
That sounds like fascinating radio.
Yeah.
What a world. What a time to be alive. Oh, so that's what I thought about that. And that's why I looked like I was in a cave. So, what else? What did you think about the weekend? What do you think about the EC3, the old EC3 angle at Triple H's new favorite promotion, Evolve?
I don't know anything about Evolve beyond the very baseline stuff that I need.
Well, but you're a good barometer for that, though, right? Then, I mean, you're somebody who might have just paid attention to this because of this angle.
My thing here is it felt like, it felt like the kind of thing where it's like it only mattered because they had both they're TNA, but they'd also both been in WWE. So it's not like a WWE versus TNA thing. It's like a former WWE guy working for another company who's now back in some way and able to say something about, and it's not like a taboo. It doesn't come across desperate. Like if it was in TNA and he was saying this, it would just be desperate, a ploy. Right. It wouldn't be a very good angle. But here, they can get away with doing it, and it actually feels kind of fresh in a way, and we know that WWE's working with them. So in a way, what we know about the situation actually helps it, that we know they are working together, and it actually makes it a good thing as opposed to like, the invasion type stuff from the Monday Night War or whatever, where it was like, you couldn't, or at least when I was too young to know better, you don't need that now.
Right.
This is the weird way to get to like manipulating the stuff to feel authentic when we know it's not.
Right.
So it still kind of feels that because there is maybe some real animosity on his part as far as they let me go. They didn't let me be what I wanted to be, or they never actually. He wasn't going to be like the USA guy at one point, and he was.
That was before he got cut. There were I think they even did some
vignettes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they did all these or he was in NXT forever and all this. They never really used him to the potential of what we've seen from him in TNA. He's a really good performer.
Mm-hmm.
So is Galloway. And I mean, it's guys that they're just, for whatever reason, sometimes in WWE, you're not in the right place at the right time with the right character, and you're just never going to succeed. It's just not going to happen because there's just not that space for you. the situation right now is, I mean, it almost doesn't. You have to come in and be really hot with the character you're given right away, or you're never going to have a chance because they have a guy that they love who's their top guy, and no one's going to challenge that unless it's someone who's just so blow away good that they're forced to make a change. So.
And there's so many guys right behind them, right? I mean, even if you're not competing for the top spot, I mean, we've seen that. I mean, a guy like Tyler Breeze is sort of trying to overcome that now, but he didn't make a splash immediately. So, they moved on to trying the next guy. I mean, right now I don't know. Was Apollo Crews on Raw this week? I don't think that he was.
Was he? Neither of us watched the show.
I know, but I watched the clips and he's not featured in like an angle right now. So he's a guy that he got called up. I guess he didn't make a big enough splash.
Worked a couple matches.
Yep. And I mean, Baron Corbin, I guess, is still in this 50-50 feud with Dolph Ziggler, but he's another guy. Like, do they have anything for him to do? The rumor is no. So, I mean, that's tough. I mean, if you don't, you got a really small window to make an impression, like you said. And if you don't, there's a lot of guys that want that spot. And with WWE, there's also like, who do you know and who's got your back and those sorts of things. So, yeah, I don't know that it's anybody's fault. And, I think this is definitely to me, the Evolve thing it's the reality era done right thing. It's the same way that I really liked how they introduced Zayn and Owens, or even the Zayn Neville feud in NXT when they were still telling stories in NXT and not just putting on matches out of their butts. Hot take. So, yeah, I mean, and I think they built to it. Like the fallout came, with Galloway and Gargano were tag champs. They had some fallout. So they had already turned Galloway heel. So this felt like it was a big surprise, but it also was something they built to. It wasn't just they pulled it out of their butt, which is what ROH did on Sunday night, at least to me and a lot of other people, where it just seemed like, okay, we're going to throw more people in the Bullet Club because we don't have anything else to do.
So I was just told Apollo was not on Raw.
Yeah. So I think that's the second week in a row. So that's not good.
I mean, the NXT thing just didn't work, I guess, to just bring him up and have him beat a couple guys, and it didn't work in NXT. I watched enough of that to know. Yeah, exactly. And that's why a lot of us, me and a bunch of other people, were saying keep him down there and try to put him in a real story and not just have him be like impressive athletic dude, which is all he's really been. So, yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, there's no real character there. He's just a happy guy who smiles a lot and does some impressive looking moves, and that's that. Yep, that's not good for him. So, sorry. This is the most depressed. Did anybody ask questions that we can kind of? I looked in there. I mean, yeah, they asked me to ask you about the Evolve thing. Eddie Mack wants to know how CSS's morale is outside of personal lives. I think business wise we're good. We're trying to get some good stuff cooking. Business wise we're great. We're trying to grow some more. As far as I know, I mean, everything's we got some stuff in the pipeline even, but personally. Life is shit. What is it? The Game of Thrones quote: "The future is shit, just like the past." Nice. You are in a happy place. Oh man, I'm really not, man. All right. Well, here I want to get there. That's a good question for the Cage Siders. What do you do to get happy when you're unhappy? They probably listen to Geno Morasco. Oh man, how that's too much responsibility. I can't. Well, but doesn't that make you feel good? Doesn't the fact that people were like, "Hey, you guys aren't tweeting during Raw. Are you all right?" And it's not as much fun without you. Doesn't that? I mean, that you're good at your job, man. That should make you feel good. Yeah, that did make me feel good. There were a few people who reached out and were like, "Everything all right?" Or like, half the fun of the show is watching your tweets, and it's like, "Oh well, that's nice. It's nice to feel wanted." Nice. Man. All right, so let's just turn this into therapy, I guess, right? Fuck. Hey, it's my mission in life is to cheer you up, Geno Morasco. All right. I'm serious, man. It's no fun when you're down. I like happy Geno. We all like happy Geno. We all learned that. Everybody thought they liked Geno time. Nobody even asks for Geno time anymore. They want happy time. It's true. They like when I'm laughing and wheezing. See, when I laugh and wheeze, part of it comes from making you laugh, and I don't know how to make you laugh today is the problem. No. Well, here's a kitten. just yank that cat up really hard, dude. Yeah. Like, he's all right. He's a kitten. That cat was like, the fuck? And then down it went.
I don't want to. You want to just tease the kitten and then build it up. Let's see. Somebody wants to know my thoughts on the hockey game last night. Jesus Christ! Give me a heart attack. We've talked about this in the cage side offices. There's nothing quite like playoff hockey, especially if you're invested in a team. And I basically had a heart attack for 6 hours last night. So it was pretty awesome, though. I feel bad for the Caps. They're sort of like, I mean, the Caps are like the Pens. It's like Steelers, Ravens, but the Caps don't ever really beat us in the playoffs. The Ravens do that occasionally. So I feel bad because I thought they manned up, really. I mean, I hate that phrase, but I don't know what else to say right now. So, but they, I was never comfortable even when we were up 3-0, and then they came back and tied it, and it was something else. I don't have words for it. It was quite impressive. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Penguins' chances in the next round against Hulk Hogan's Tampa Bay Lightning. Isn't that his team? Yeah, isn't that his team? Isn't it him and Punk used to like beef on Twitter about Blackhawks Lightning games?
Yeah, they did a really stupid thing where they were cutting promos, and Punk was like, "He's not even a real fan." He became that guy.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
Yeah, well, Corey Graves was excited. He tweeted about the Pens game last night. So Berg proud or whatever the fuck they try to hashtag that shit. I don't know. Did I change my computer location? Yes, this is part of my MediaCom. Did I do my MediaCom promo? They just suck.
You did do your MediaCom promo.
Okay, I'm at my in-laws' house sitting. I'm actually heading back tonight. I probably shouldn't say that shit online. Probably just an invitation to everybody to go break into my house. But we do have an alarm, so don't do that. Yeah, so I'm at my in-laws for a couple more hours, and then we're heading back. So that's why I am dealing with MediaCom, because that's what my father-in-law has. And boy, Geno is not lying. They suck ass.
They're the literal worst in the history of the world. You know, it's funny because I noticed sometimes the thing that I've had to start doing is when my shit starts running slow, I have to turn the Wi-Fi off on my phone, and then my computer will kick up right again. So if you wonder why people are like, so I saw some idiot was commenting like, you know, how come Geno doesn't have his fucking camera on? Dude, I can't even have my phone on Wi-Fi when I'm at my shit. You know what I mean?
That's I worked at a place that like would refuse to pay for business internet, so there was a rule that we had to turn off the Wi-Fi on our phones when we walked in, or it would like crash the network. That's awesome.
Like I just tried to look at something on Twitter while we were in here, and and as soon as I clicked into Twitter, you were like, and I had to click it out, and then you went back to normal. So I don't know if anything got fucked up for the listeners, but like that's the case. That's MediaCom too. Like I fucking told them so many times. I called them up one day. And I'm not normally this guy. Like I'm the type of guy, I don't know about you guys. I'm the type of guy, I don't like phone conversations, right? Unless it's someone I'm really close with. So like, you know, I'll FaceTime my girlfriend all day and night. But if you want me to call and order pizza, I'll like freak myself out. Like actually, I don't. Like, can you do it? I'll pay, but how about this? I'll pay for it if you call. So then, whatever. So finally, I get to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm done with it. So I call and I get them on the phone. So I need customer service. And they're like, well, what's the problem? And I'm like, well, my internet's out again, and it's been out every day, at least once a day since I had this. I have business internet, so you need to figure out a way to fix this, or I'm going to cause a big ass stink. And I was like, what does that even mean? What am I going to do? What could you possibly do, Geno? Like, you know, you're acting like, I'm telling you, shit's on if you don't fix this.
You're messing with the wrong guy.
Yeah. Why do you want to kill me? Like, fucking Batman with it. Like, I'm going to tell you about media. I work in the media. I will bury you. Like, I will get on a podcast that at least a couple thousand people listen to, and I'll bury your ass. Like, how many live listeners do we have? 30? Don't say it out loud.
All right, I won't.
It's not that many. But either way, what's up, everybody?
It's more than that.
More than that? See how that surprises me.
Yeah.
There are more than 30 people at this exact moment listening to the show.
That's why I don't know if they're listening. They have it up. They might have decided.
It's on, and they're like, these fucking guys this is awful today. I don't want to listen to this dude.
I'm going to go order a pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to do it online.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody.
I'm ordered a pizza once. It was with my brother. it's like Pizza Hut closes at 11, right? And we're like, we want pizza. They're like, what's open? Like, well, pizza. They're like, Pizza Hut's trash, but we're hungry. Let's get it. So we call, and it's like 10:50, 10:55 or so. And we're calling, and they're like, Pizza Hut. And I'm saying, we're like, place an order for delivery. Like, oh, we're closed right now, actually. Like, no, you're not. It's not 11 o'clock. It says you close at 11. Like, yeah, but we're doing stuff to get closed up. It would be a big hassle to cook something, whatever. And it's like, so you're going to turn me away because it's not 11 o'clock yet. Or because it's almost 11 o'clock and you're trying to get your stuff done. And he's like, my brother's like, what's your name, sir? And he waits a minute. It's on speaker. He waits a minute and he's like, Mitch. like he just
Dean Ambrose's plant runs the Moline.
Like he just made up a name, and we're like, all right, Mitch, good to know, and hang up. So the next time we're out up on the avenue, which is where the Pizza Hut is, we're going in there, and we're like, we're going to find out if Mitch is working today. And go in there like we're going to get food, and we're looking at the name tags on everyone who walks by. We're like, Mitch probably isn't even a fucking real person, is he? I knew he lied to us. How dare Mitch? That's, yeah. I don't know why I'm telling this story. It's a story.
It involves Mitch.
Mitch, the potted plant. Oh, I know that about the Ambrose-Jericho thing. I looked at that. Apparently, Ambrose destroyed a $15,000 jacket, and now the main fucking thing in WWE, the main event program is Dean's mad at Chris because he destroyed a potted plant. Now Chris is mad at Dean because he destroyed an expensive jacket. What a feud.
It's better than was it better or worse than feuding over an imaginary talk show?
Much worse, because it's just dumb as shit. Like there's value in, like, right? Like there's this idea is supposed to, okay, so it's either supposed to be dumb fun, and I can buy that, like if you're in that space, but I'm clearly not in that space right now.
Right.
Or it's, there's something of value here, right? I don't care if you destroy my water bottle. It has no value to me. But I do care if you burn my house down. You know what I mean? Like there are levels there, and if you're trying to get across that this is a serious feud, which I think they are, you don't do that by like putting over. Oh my God, he destroyed the plant. Not the fucking plant.
Dean loved that plant. It's like you can't. I'm okay. I don't know. It's a problem for me with like Dean's character that he would be in love with the plant. That would be valuable to him, I guess. But they did do a pretty good job of convincing me that he liked that plant a lot. So it was pretty dastardly. I mean, that's like kicking somebody's dog or something. You can't, I don't know. I'm reaching here, but I don't hate it.
Really bad. And it's funny because
I mean, I'm a Jericho Mark, so I'm predisposed to like this anyway, but I do. I kind of like it. I'm not looking forward to the match. I don't think their match at that whatever it was called, Payback, was very good I think that's both guys, but
what's funny is like even too, it's like I feel like it's going to be weird to try to get back into the swing of things. Not for nothing. The missing one Raw 3 hours, so you don't really miss anything. But at the same time, it makes you realize there's not much here.
Yeah,
there's not much I care about here.
It's the Office Space joke, right? Like we see you've been missing Raw a lot. Well, I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
Right? Yeah, like
yeah. Yeah, and you can. I mean, I caught up. I was gonna watch the Hulu version. I ended up just watching the YouTube clips, and that's everything I need to know, really. I mean, you pretty much nailed. I mean, it's like I knew. I was writing the preview on Sunday night, going, "How are they gonna give us another 6-man match between the Samoan Tough Guys and the Club without doing the exact same match that they already did twice last week?" And they came up with like the elimination angle, but it's still the exact same match you gave last week. I still like that story, but it makes you long for the days when these guys didn't touch, as they say, until the pay-per-view. Because when Styles Reigns 2 at Extreme Rules in a couple of weeks is actually going to be like the 14th time they've wrestled in the last 2 months, so it doesn't feel quite as special.
Yep.
Oh Lord!
Nothing special ever.
You made me laugh again. I think like the EC3 thing. I mean, I popped for that. I didn't watch it. I wasn't watching Evolve Live, but to me, I mean, they still can do some stuff that's pretty freaking cool. It's just It's hard because they've got so much, and all wrestling. There's just so much wrestling on. It's hard to do something that feels new or special. Someone on Twitter wants to know.
Did they put the belt on Big Cass yet?
No, almost though. I think it's just a matter of time at this point. I think he was number 1 in the WWE.com power rankings this weekend, with just a picture of Vince smiling with his hand in his pants next to him. Who would be a better dancer, JBL or Lillian Garcia?
Who asked that?
Matt Rogers on Twitter.
Matt, shut up.
All right.
Why is that even a question? Like,
I don't know. He said if you're looking for topics, I got one for you, and that's what he had. I think it depends on the type of dance. Like, I think JBL is probably a mean two-stepper. But
JBL once referred to himself as a pigeon-toed fat ass, and Lillian Garcia once tripped on her way walking to the ring. I don't know.
If you've heard Lillian's pop music,
boy, it's bad.
Yeah,
what's with wrestlers who like think they can sing? You know, Hogan used to play the bass.
Yeah,
he didn't try to sing. And then here's Vince trying to sing, and it's awful. Jericho's band is one of the worst fucking pieces of shit bands I've ever heard in my life.
It's not that bad. It's just pretty bad. The problem with Fozzy is it should be like an ironic band, like who is the Darkness or whatever, the guys who are just like a parody of 80s metal bands.
No, what it is they
take it seriously, and that's the problem.
What it is what they do is they go to the studio. They go to the studio.
Okay.
And Jericho's like, "Oh, guys, I got to take a shit. Let's get these vocals done." Because that's when he records his vocals. That's the only way he can sound like he does on that record. He's taking a shit. He's banging out a deuce like Bray Wyatt would say.
Cloud of cigarette smoke and farts. That was me banging out a deuce live on the air.
What else is there?
I was reading.
No other questions.
There is Reverend Kane would like to fight you because Pizza Hut is fucking delicious, and Shaku Stewart agrees.
Well, Rev has the palate of a toddler.
Well, I think Rev eats like Hot Pockets 24/7, and I don't mean that as like
wow.
I mean he's talked about it in the daily. Like he eats a lot of like frozen pizzas, I think. So I think that might have an effect on your palate. I don't think you're exactly going to be, hired as a judge on Top Chef if you come in and say I eat a lot of Totinos. I don't think that's how that works. Fizz wants to know, my boy Fizz, the moderator of Cage Side Speaks when Cam Tierney is busy with life, I guess. Wants to know, I don't know, this is a question. That Fizz says, Ryback watch 2016, ? I'll leave it up to you however you want to answer that, Gino. Go.
You can't water down the concepts.
What?
Fan watch is all there is.
No.
You can't water down the concept by just...
Oh, is that what that means? I didn't even understand. See, look at that.
I'm guessing that's what it is. So you can't just start doing a watch for every fucking person,
That's true. What do you think? Has anything changed for Mr. Back since we last talked? What do you think? Are you because I don't think he had issued. Isn't that what Jericho or somebody called him that at one point, Mr. Back? Had he issued his manifesto when we talked last week? I think we were just saying we didn't know like what the offer was. So what do you buy into
the wins and losses don't matter thing? I mean, in some ways, like I think he has a point as far as like you can't be a top guy without people doing jobs to you along the way. At the same time, all businesses are built on the quarterback gets paid a whole lot more than the offensive lineman protecting him. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. It's how valuable you are to the company. And, you're not your value relative to the other guys who are at the top, even if you're the one who helped them get to that point by laying down doing jobs for them. I don't think you can, you know what I mean? You can't say that everyone should just be paid the exact same just because it's predetermined. Because not everyone is the same level of star. Not everyone is the same level of, okay, well, we all win and lose the same, so then we should all be paid the same. But but not all people are buying tickets to see you. If everyone's buying the tickets to see the guy in the main event, then the guy in the main event should be making more money, right? I don't think that's unfair for WWE to take that approach. I don't necessarily think it's unfair for him to have the thoughts he has, but at the same time, it's not like the guys in the main event are having that thought. It's the lower card dude who feels like he's been disrespected, who feels like he hasn't been used in such a way that he can get to that point. And because he feels like he can't get to that point and he's kind of capped, then, what do you do in a situation like that, right? Like on his part, what do I do? Do I keep fighting to try to get there, even though it's pretty clear they're never going to let me get there? Or do I fight for equality and pay and come up with the argument that I think will get me, at least make it look like I have a strong position, get some support, maybe parlay that into, something. Cameron, when she did her release note, she said, she admitted, I'd cut these promos on the quote-unquote internet wrestling community, whatever. I was hoping to parlay that into a heel gimmick and catch fire on social media, and then they'd put me on the main roster, and my career would get going again. She admitted that. And so there's some level of we have to determine, how much of it is them thinking one thing and how much of it is them thinking another or how much of it is him actually wanting the equality and how much of it is him maybe wanting to just try to get his career back on track. I don't know.
Yeah, I turned my camera off because some people were saying it's skipping on their end, so I'm trying to see if that helps. So let me know in the comments if that makes any difference.
Sorry, disaster show all around.
I know. I think Ryback's got an interesting position. It wouldn't be like if this was Heath Slater making this argument or something, or Curtis Axel, who's a guy that I like a lot, but who's never gotten over. It would be different then, because I think Ryback's, we've talked about it on here before, he's gotten himself over kind of in different ways. I'm not a big fan of the dude, but he was, seemed like he was on the cusp of like gradually growing to something big when they all of a sudden put him in the WWE title feud with Punk, which he lost. He sort of never recovered from that. He's gotten some, every time he turns heel, he gets some people excited about him again, but they don't put him over. So I think he's in a different position. I think, it would be frustrating if you had kind of, I assume he moves some merchandise too, because they always crank more out for him. So he is a guy that sort of is on the cusp where I think wins would make a difference for him, but they don't give him to him. But he didn't frame his argument like that. That's where sort of like what you're saying is if they're not going to let you get over, maybe you should pay everybody a little bit more equally, but that's never going to happen. That doesn't happen in any business. So, there's always, the worker bees that help the higher profile people get more money. And that's not right, but it's kind of.
We get paid more than the people underneath us.
Yeah.
Equal pay is like it's a fact of how things operate in the world. You know what I mean? You're as valuable as you are and you're paid based on that value. And whether or not someone else had a hand in making you that valuable doesn't suddenly mean that person deserves that money, because just the value is what the value is, right?
Yeah.
So it's just
that's what or you do things. You do things like you hear about on football teams all the time, where like the quarterback bought all of his offensive linemen Rolexes or something. That's how that shit works. If the O lineman is never going to make the quarterback's money.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, some people take care of the little people, but not everybody does. And
here's a question.
Isn't going to be that world. Yes, sir. Yep. Go.
From Trina on the Twitter at the Marky Smark. Would the women's division benefit from a 1-hour show devoted just to them? No Total Divas dramas, just wrestling.
I don't see what it could hurt at this point. I think like a year ago, I would have said no. I would have rather seen them get integrated into. But this sort of goes to what we were talking about last week with the Becky Emma thing. I think WWE needs to overemphasize the women to make a difference, to change some attitudes, and to force themselves to feature women. I guess they're doing. I watched all of the Dana Brooke stuff.
I was gonna say Dana Brooke debuted.
Yeah, and again, I'm optimistic, but I'm not gonna. I've been optimistic like 6 times over the last year, and it always sort of backtracks. So if the way to assure that they told stories with more women and let them develop more characters was an hour show, I would be on board with that. I don't know. It's tricky. I wouldn't want, because it's my same concern. We used to have this argument about cruiserweights, not you and me, but I used to have it with a bunch of people online. And I was always worried that like a cruiserweight show would just mean that would be like the ghetto they got pushed into, and then they wouldn't care about featuring them on the main shows. So I think if they would still have to try to, the hour-long show would be like the place where you could get dedicated women's wrestling, but I would want them to still keep them as part of Raw and SmackDown too.
It is pretty weird to me how, and I like what they're doing with Becky and Emma and now Dana Brooke. And Dana Brooke's fantastic. And, even the Charlotte and Ty stuff has its value as far as that goes. I think it's interesting to me that there's all these, we want Sasha Chance and all this talk of Sasha Banks being so over. And she's so over that she's been taken off television indefinitely, apparently, right? Like, she just hasn't appeared.
Right.
So it's like, it's just interesting to me that we live in a world where one of the most over members of the roster is just not even on TV. How can that be? Right? When you read about it, either she's not as over as everyone thinks she is, or they really just don't care about actually cultivating a women's division in the way that we are ever going to expect from them, right? Like, and it's probably unlikely that it'll ever be anything close to the men's. Because it's just not, it's no different than what we were just talking about as far as value with the men and relative to each other. So Ryback's not as valuable as Roman Reigns, obviously, not even close. So therefore Roman Reigns gets the lion's share of the attention. He gets the lion's share of the push, the merchandise, all these things. They're going to continue thinking of it the same way in regards to the women and the men. In their mind, the women are not as valuable because everything they've done. Even if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because they simply aren't giving them the chance to prove them different. And even if we've seen situations like down in NXT where they headlined an event with Sasha versus Bayley, a women's match, an Iron Man, it got over huge. It was reviewed. It got rave reviews. It still wasn't enough and hasn't been enough to have them actually make real changes that would actually affect what we see on television in a way that makes it anywhere near what it is for the men. And I don't know that it's ever going to happen when we're still in these situations where, again, a Sasha Banks is not even on TV.
Yeah, I think my two thoughts on that is one, it's sort of like the Ronda Rousey thing. I think I don't think UFC would be main eventing with women if it hadn't been for Rousey. And I don't know that WWE has had that performer yet, that breakthrough. They think Charlotte is that person, I guess, and I don't think she is. You need somebody that people demand to see in that division. Somebody like Chyna was, kind of, that was that over. That's, Austin always, whenever he brings her up, he talks about how over she was. And they need somebody like that. And I think Sasha is over. I don't think she's over to that level. But you also need to stick with it. We saw last week from Lucha Underground, they have sort of built up to the women being just another part of the show. Like, it was noteworthy because it was a women's match with blood and all that stuff, but it didn't feel like, oh my God, Lucha Underground is main eventing with women, because they've always had women involved. Ivelisse has been part of the trio's main events, and it's really the star of them a lot of the time and things like that. So you do have to, I don't know, it's a chicken and the egg thing. I think you need that breakout star to sort of demand that they change the way they approach stories about women, but you also have to give them more time to do that. So that's why I think if they were going to put together a dedicated show to it, that might be something that could kickstart that. I don't know. I don't know. Is Sasha not on because she's not as over? That's what we don't know the answer to. Is she not on because she's not as over as we think she is? Or is she not on because they still don't prioritize women's wrestling? And it's sort of like the Ryback argument, too. If they're stopping her from reaching her potential for whatever reason, whose fault is that?
And what is her potential? And it's part of what makes pro wrestling such an interesting, fascinating business to be covering or involved in any way is, that there is all of these different scenarios, and we look at them, we can't ever really know or feel like we know, or it's like it's an inexact science. You know, it's almost like scouting in the NFL, or looking at like a college player and determining all the variables and putting them through the combine and seeing what kind of 40-yard dash they run and seeing how they do in like a shuttle drill or whatever the hell, running routes and doing all these things. And is that going to tell you whether or not they're going to be a great player in the NFL? Absolutely not.
Nope.
Absolutely not. I mean, there's, all these documented cases, and something was on last night about, there were 6 quarterbacks drafted before Tom Brady, right? And he was drafted in the 6th round and thought he was too small, thought he didn't have a strong enough arm, thought he wasn't just built right to play in the NFL. He just wasn't going to be that kind of guy. And he's arguably the greatest quarterback who's ever played in the NFL. So it's the same kind of thing here. It's just you can't. It feels like you just can't know. And then they would have never known with him unless Drew Bledsoe got his insides ripped up during a tackle in a Jets game, and Brady was just forced to go in. It's kind of the same thing here. I mean, situations have happened that they were forced into trying something, and then I'll be damned if it didn't work. And I don't know that anything's going to force them into trying something beyond what they're doing now, right? Because even the Rousey stuff, and Rousey was huge and still is in a lot of ways, even with the supposed renewed commitment with the women's title and rebranding women's and getting rid of the Divas thing and all this other stuff, even with all of that, we still haven't really seen big change. It's still basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple of stories, couple of minutes, blah, 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 and then the men go out and, Tyler Breeze and Fandango and Goldust and R-Truth play with selfie sticks and get 20 minutes in total for a backstage segment, then a match, then another backstage segment. And it's, it's just what they're going to do.
Yep.
Just go watch Lucha Underground. Just go. And then at some point too, it's like, well, you have to try to help make change, but do you? Do you really?
I mean, the only thing this is a trite discussion too, but the only thing that will inspire any change, if that's what you want to do, is voting with your wallet. That's the only thing that matters. It's a business. So until, and we can
change.
Well, it has to be severe though. It has to be like, and I'm not encouraging people to do like cancel WWE Network hashtag. I think it has to be just sort of organic. They have to see a drop off. And so I'm not trying to inspire a movement. I'm just saying a million tweets is going to get you a segment on Good Morning America where Stephanie McMahon talks about how important the women are. It's not going to get a change in how they actually present them. They've gotten their bonus, their little bump from changing the women's title. They didn't have to do anything else, so they're not going to. And as long as there's no competition, and I don't know how they ever will have competition again, that's probably not going to change. We're in this world where WWE is that's the thing. I mean, every wrestler wants to be there, and they're not going to rock the boat on the way there or once they get there. The only guys that might rock the boat are the ones that have already washed out, because that's where you want to be. That's the best chance you have of making money. So that's it.
Yep.
Bummer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what happened? Didn't they were doing this? Weren't they? They were sort of setting up a feud with Sasha and Summer Rae, and then they just dropped it.
They just completely dropped it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to have somebody. You have to have somebody. That's the thing. I mean, it has to be somebody's got to be like Brock Lesnar, Steve Austin, that kind of charisma that forces them to tell stories about them. Because I think Vince would do that. I mean, for all his, whatever his, prejudices, whatever are, if he thinks he can make money off of it, he's going to make money off of it. And he has not seen the female performer yet that he thinks he can do that with.
You know what it is? I think what it is, and I don't know if this is the best comparison, but, when you met your wife,
Mm-hmm.
you had to do something, right? Like she was enough to you, or she intrigued you so much that you had to know more. And you did the things you needed to do, right? You took it there. Well, you meet a woman Or you meet a man and it's just, I gotta know more. This is just so intriguing to me that I gotta investigate this. I gotta see what this is, and I gotta, go with it. Well, I think it's only going to change when someone comes along, and that's how Vince feels. Like, he was enamored by these people. Shawn Michaels got the big push. Vince was totally enamored by Shawn Michaels. Steve Austin, Brock Lesnar, people like The Undertaker. He is just Roman Reigns. He sees something there, and it just appeals to him in some way that he has to pursue it. A woman has to come along that makes him feel that way. In the past, I think that's probably happened, and it's come out in the wrong way. Maybe like a Sable.
Mm-hmm.
But now,
wasn't that the rumor that was what he thought about Lana, and we see how he's booked her.
Yeah, there you go.
Regardless of whatever you feel about the heat angles, but
that's the
even
rumor.
Before she had heat, he was going to build a division around her, and what we got was Ocean City Lana with Dolph.
Yeah, and that's just rumors. So whatever,
right.
But
again, we don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, so if that's the closest we've gotten to it, and it's about how Vince views women and the role that they can have in WWE. So maybe the reality is to just look at it and go, well, they're never going to be the thing that you want them to be, or in the situation you want them to be in. Like, it was a time that Sasha Banks even said that I want so badly to be a part of WWE that she was willing to build up to it and do bra and panties matches. And then later, when she realized change could happen, she was like, well, okay, now I want to make change, and I want to do whatever I can to do that. I'm not saying I'm not talking down about her, certainly. I'm just saying, like, maybe that's the attitude to have. Know what you're getting into.
Well, and it wasn't a bra and panty match, but she went out there and did New Day twerk team stuff that was, entertaining for a second, but didn't really help her long term, and wasn't something they had any intention of building off of. They just thought it was funny to have all the folks go out there and twerk or whatever. And I'm not saying that's what they said, but that's what it looked like. And and she was willing to do that. She didn't put her foot down and say, no, that's not my character, which it wasn't. I mean, that's not the boss character to go out there and be goofy. That's her behind the scenes, but in with her gimmick, and she went ahead and did it. So yeah, that's sort of, you got to do that. You got to play the game to some. It's a nightmare profession, because at some point you want to be like Steve Austin and say, no, I won't. No, that's not right. That's not going to help me get over. But he had somewhere else he could go, or he was powerful enough when he said those things. Nobody else has that now. Cena maybe, but even so, where's he? If he wants to keep wrestling, where's he going to go? Nowhere that he'll get as much money.
Yep. I mean, it's a weird. Business is in a weird place right now, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of always been whatever it is, but it's as far as the women are concerned, though. I don't know that, if they gave them an hour-long show, I don't know how it would do in ratings. I don't know how it would come across. I don't know how it would be booked. It just seems like such a thing that's so far away from ever being something that would even be considered.
Yeah.
If I was running the business, I'd be scared to do it.
Yeah, I would probably. Given that it's the network, I would probably go ahead and try to do it. Film it like Main Event and just put it on WWE Network or whatever. Try to do it where you didn't add costs and just see how it did. Sort of like it's your version of WNBA or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would just be concerned that they would decide that was it. That it's just this niche product that sits over to the side, and we don't have now. Sort of like the women's title. Well, we changed the belt. Are you happy? That's it. We're not doing anything else. We gave you this show. Are you happy? We're not going to do anything else. So,
and are people happy?
I don't know. Some people are, I'm sure. Well, that's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man.
That's CSL blah edition.
Yeah. Do you think Lucha Underground treats its wrestlers well?
I don't know. I guess. Do they not? I don't
know. The one thing that this is from Leia Blaze. The one thing that I agree about is that they still do the chair shots to the head, which bothers me. Ring of Honor still does it too. I don't understand how you can do that in 2016, knowing what we know. Yeah, I don't know enough about their contracts. I think it's weird. One thing that bugs me about Lucha Underground as a business is that when they don't want to be. They seem like they want to be able to pick and choose when they can call themselves a TV show and when they can call themselves a wrestling promotion. Like they don't want to they don't want to let the wrestlers join the Actors Guild, but they also you're not allowed to release spoilers because you wouldn't do that if you could watch a filming of Game of Thrones or whatever. It's weird. It goes to the whole thing we were talking about off the top, where like the wrestling business is like all about arguing with your fan base, which is weird to me. So.
Yeah, I mean, Lucha Underground's great and all. I mean, I've kind of some of the shine's come off a little bit, I guess. Of, now that I've covered and I have to do the live blogs and stuff every week. It is what it is. Like they're fine for what they are, and it's entertaining, and I'm not like over the moon about it anymore. But I don't know. I mean, wrestling is what wrestling is, I guess, and maybe a part of it is just the expectations that people have for things, and when you get so deep, this is the problem in life that everyone has, right? I mean, what happens is you get so deep into something that you start to expect so much more out of it, and you need so much more from it, and you want so much more to come from it, whatever, that the stakes are raised, right? And you end up in a situation where you're like, if it fails to meet those sort of expectations, then it kind of makes you want to withdraw in, and you're not feeling like you're getting what you need out of it, even though originally that's totally was the case, and it built you up to where you could be in that place. So it's kind of a weird thing to like, the more you take from it, the more you're going to need from it, and it can only give you so much, and there's always going to be like a spot that you'll hit where it's like, this just isn't doing it for me. Which is, it's cyclical, it's all these things, whatever. So, I mean, I don't know. And I think maybe that's where I'm at as far as the wrestling stuff's concerned, like I cover it, and I can cover it without like being in a situation, some people think we have to be in love with everything we see in order to be covering it, or to, I'm tired of the negativity and stuff. And I get that. I really do. But part of it too is you got to realize is that not everyone's in the same place as you. Sometimes you meet someone who's in a long-time marriage like Sean is, and they're happy, and it's fine. It is what it is. And sometimes you meet someone who's in a new relationship, relatively, like myself, and I'm happy, and it is what it is. And then sometimes you meet someone who's not in a relationship at all, and they're happy, and it is what it is. And then sometimes you meet the exact opposite in all three of those situations with all of those different people. So it's like, you can have all these different layers of things, and they can all still be true at the same time. And when it all comes together, when you put all those people in a room and they try to have a discussion about it, of course there's going to be some sort of disagreement or differences, and everyone's going to be looking at it in a different way because everyone is in a different space when they're consuming it. So, it's today's show where I'm in a weird place. You're in the place that you're in. Things are what they are. So we're not as happy this week. Whatever. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that gets weird to me about, and this is where like Lucha Underground is. NXT is still kind of here. You see it with everything. I mean, there are people who you get into a problem where you sort of identify your own. Like your identity is tied up in this third-party thing that you don't have any control over. Like I'm like, oh, how could anybody question Lucha Underground? It's the greatest thing in the world. Triple H has been a genius in marketing NXT this way with the whole "we are NXT" thing. It's like, oh, well, you can't question it then. It's this perfect thing, and if you insult it, you're practically insulting me. And that's we got to. That's like I said, you just got to keep stuff in perspective. You've got to be willing to have conversations about stuff where, especially with something as I love it to death, but it's not that important in the grand scheme of things. It's a pop culture art form, and it's not worth going to fucking war over, which is it just happens too often. We talk about that all the time on here. But yeah, just sort of keep it in perspective, and be willing to not talk to somebody who's not fucking in love with it the same way you are or whatever.
Yeah, it can't be everything you need it to be every time you need it to be that.
Yeah.
And you can't.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't pretend like everyone else needs to be in the same space, because that's not realistic either, because they're the same way.
And life would be boring as shit if we all were. If we all just sat around and jerked off about how great Raw was, no one would know that wouldn't be as much fun.
That sounds good.
I mean, it's fun every once in a while, like when there's like the Shield breakup or something that's just universally awesome and we can just like mark out together. That's great. But if that happened every week, you'd be bored with it.
Well, and even like philosophically, right? Like everything to sit there and say it sounds really good to jerk off in a circle with people and be happy.
Which
Right?
I mean, for you and me, I mean that's like a Tuesday night, so that
Right.
does.
As you said, like that's our
I'm
night.
looking forward to it later. Yeah,
But it's not our Wednesday. It's not
true.
our
Yeah.
Thursday. It's not our
Exactly. You
it's
guys
not right. So it's
keep it special.
yeah, I mean, well, and yeah, that's part of what we're saying too. Is
Yeah.
it's like we're using that analogy because it's cage side life, whatever. But if we just get in a circle and jerk off and we're happy, and that's the status quo all the time, that sounds good. It doesn't work in practice because you need a balance. There has to be some sort of balance. You can't just be in a constant state of happiness and never feel sad. Because if you were in a constant state of happiness and never felt sad, you would no longer recognize that you were happy. It would morph into something else. And that's just kind of the way our brains work as human beings. And that's why wrestling shows are designed the way they're designed and laid out the way they're laid out. You can't sustain. Yes, there are matches that they know you don't care as much about this match. They don't need you to care as much about that match. They just need you to get warmed up with that match. And then they're going to deliver you the shit that they're going to deliver you that's going to matter the most. Yeah, I don't need to be jerking off in a circle with people and happy every night of the week. I just need to get through the week doing the things I need to do, and I'll build some anticipation, and then when I get there, I'll feel really fucking happy that I did that, and then I'll leave and I'll do my thing, and it'll be, you know what I mean? That's what it is. That's what makes relationships difficult. It's what makes marriages hard. It's what makes friendships difficult. It's what makes human interaction difficult, is that we're not all in the same place at the same time. We don't all have the same values. We don't all have the same way that we look at things or what's right and what's wrong. I mean, as far as, we have laws and shit that help, it's wrong to murder someone, but is it wrong to one person thinks it's wrong to do this and the next person thinks it's wrong to do this and you can't agree on that? Well, how do you get to the middle? And just the evolution of where we came from and all this shit. And at the end of it, to loop it all back around, it's like, well, we're just dealing with fucking wrestling. So at what point do we just say, none of this really matters? None of it really matters. What really matters is your own health and well-being and happiness and whatever you need to do to figure out the best way to live the best life that you can, right? So we get to wrestling and it's like, why are we wasting our time with like arguing with whether or not Sasha Banks is over? Even us, why did we waste our time arguing about fucking Becky Lynch and Emma and how they didn't get the crowd or not?
Because you were wrong. That's why we did that.
Oh, there you go. And maybe too, it's like, well, in that case, even while I say that, you could also say, well, yeah, but that's kind of the same thing of going, you don't tell people how they enjoy things, and maybe some people enjoy things by picking them apart. Maybe there's a lot of these people out there who enjoy this, they watch it, and they hate it, and they think they could do better, and part of what they get off, and they get off on that. They get off on thinking they could be better and do better, and they know more, and they get off on knowledge, and they get off thinking that people think they're knowledgeable and important and all these things. And, that's just, and there's nothing wrong with that too. And then there are going to be people who are annoyed by that, but then people who are impressed by that. And then we just go in one big loop. You know what? I'm going through an identity crisis. I'm going through an existential crisis, actually, is what it is. I just feel like I don't understand the world, maybe. I'm just talking through all that, like, right? Like,
that happens, yeah. I mean,
everything is everything and nothing is nothing. And I don't know how to operate. I don't know how to go through the world. You know what I mean? Like, if you can be in a relationship and be deeply in love one day, and then it takes very little, right, to strip that away, it seems like, right, and it falls apart, and then let's say a week later, you're no longer in that relationship, then how... It just leads me to like all these philosophical questions, like how strong was the bond really if that's how fast it takes to break it, right? Or how good was it really? Or, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Right? Like it's just like sometimes I think about this kind of shit and it just fucks my head up, man.
Yeah.
I just don't even.
Don't think. I mean, yeah, don't think about it.
Don't think is the lesson here. Just stop.
I mean, that's it. Last night at dinner, Julie and I were actually having that conversation. Like I guess, technically it's like that's neuroses, like where you just have all that chatter in your head and it would be nice if you could just make it stop. I mean, that's what like fucking meditation and a lot of like spiritual stuff is based on. It's like having a sense of just being and not worrying about all that stuff. And
Yeah,
I think it's the same thing though. I mean, it's about, I mean, for me, it's about, and this ties back into the wrestling stuff too. It's about not fucking going to extremes. It's about, this is what it is. I mean, yes, I love this and it's fun to pick it apart, but I have to try to, and I have my times where I'm like, oh wait, you're dissing Chris Jericho, I'm going to fucking murder you or whatever. But I have to calm down and just say, it's not everybody's jam. And if somebody is, and this is where I get tied up a lot, is somebody is like, well, no, you're wrong for liking him or whatever. I just got to take a deep breath and walk away because it's not worth that. And, and that's like in terms of like relationships and shit like that too. That's the same thing. Is I can't think, oh, like I can't live without this person, or I can't think, I want to never see this person again or whatever. I got to find the in between. And if people do want those extremes, then that's not for me, and that doesn't work out. So that's, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. This is the weirdest episode ever.
It's just what it is.
There you go. It is what it is episode.
I'm telling you, man. Sometimes that's what I do, and I don't want to even do that, Or it's like I think about that kind of stuff because I don't know, maybe it's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
Having been through the various things I've been through, and it's like, why can't you just quiet that, and just not think that way? But you can't just not, you don't choose how you are.
I think there are certain things you can do to. You can't like flip a switch and change it, but I think there are things.
Well, I'll give you an example, like something I was thinking about. My brother, and not to get too personal, but my brother was with his wife at the time for 20 years, almost 15 years. It was a long time, and then one day just left, and just the marriage was done, and that was that. And that's like one of the craziest things in the world to me. Like that's how fragile something can be, that it can just change just like that.
But I mean, you don't think that? He didn't wake up one morning and he was madly in love with her the day before, and then decided to leave the next day. I mean, that's a gradual process. He might not.
Probably not, but she felt that way. That's how it came across. That's how it came out. Like we were fine. Like that's what she always would. She told me, like, we were cool. Everything was cool. Everything in the relationship was normal. And then one day he was gone. Like in his mind, maybe not, but then that's, you know what I mean. And then you can't. It's just, and I don't know. But so to loop it back into wrestling, it's like you can never know what someone else is really thinking and feeling, and so it's never worth it.
Well, that's why I'm saying, that's why you have to, you have to invest in your own happiness, and you have to find the stuff that you enjoy and that gives you joy. And if that's wrestling, that's great. If that's something else, I would encourage people to have a balance of things, but whatever. That's what works for me. That's all I can say. But you can't, if you ever, like you said, everybody's got different stuff going on in their head, so you can't base it's risky to base your happiness on somebody else's actions. So I wouldn't do it. That's, if a person or a thing like wrestling enhances your enjoyment of life, then go for it. If your enjoyment of life relies on that thing, then that's a red flag. If
your enjoyment of this relies on other people also enjoying it, then
don't do it.
Yeah, that's probably that's going to be really hard on you.
Yep.
Probably.
You're setting yourself up for something, maybe.
Top 10 reasons not to listen to Cage Side Live this week.
Right. Because they'll make you want it. But there was a kitten.
There was a kitten, briefly.
So that's good. I was going to hold him up. I was going to turn the camera on and hold him up one more time, but I can't find him.
You know what tomorrow is?
Because kittens are unpredictable. It's your birthday.
It's my birthday tomorrow.
Aren't you? Is that why you're depressed? Are you reflecting on your own mortality?
Maybe. Maybe. I'm running out of time, Sean.
Yeah, well, we all are, but that's...
I'm running out of time to make things right.
It's never too late, Geno. You can always...
It's never too late.
You can always... Oh, there he is. Come here, you. All right. So here we go. We are going to close with this kitten here. His name is Edwin. He only has one eye, and he's just as happy as can be. So look at that. He doesn't want anything to do with this. See, there's always kittens in the world. So, just keep everything in perspective, everybody. That's all. That's all we're saying.
Love you.
Bye.